What if the one you love finds out your biggest secret, in the most heartbreaking way? I cheated in our own bed, and now he's acting like I don't exist, cold, silent, and unreachable. No explanations, no fights, just a crushing silence that's louder than words. But there's more to his silence than I ever imagined, secrets that could change everything between us. Will our love survive the betrayal, or is this the end of us? Stay with me as I uncover the truth behind his silence, and the shocking twist that no one saw coming. I never thought a single moment could change everything in my life so fast. One night, something happened between us, something I thought we could get past, but it turned out to be the beginning of the worst silence I've ever known. He found out I cheated in our own bed, and since then, it's like I don't even exist to him. The man who used to look at me like I was everything now won't say a word, won't explain why he's shutting me out, and it's tearing me apart. We were supposed to be solid, a team that trusted each other no matter what. But that night broke something deeper than just trust. Now, every look is cold, every room feels emptier, and I'm left with questions I can't answer. Did he ever really forgive me? Or is this silence his way of giving up on us? I'm scared to reach out because every time I try, he just pretends I'm invisible, like I'm a stranger who doesn't deserve an explanation. There's so much pain wrapped up in what happened, and I know I made mistakes. But what's worse is the way he disappeared from my life without a word. This story isn't just about betrayal, it's about what happens after, the quiet aftermath, the waiting, and the uncertainty of what comes next when the person who mattered most closes the door and walks away without a reason. You might think you know how these stories end, but this one is far from over. Sometimes, the hardest part isn't the mistake itself but the silence that follows it. I'm here, trying to make sense of the pieces, hoping for some kind of answer, but all I get is emptiness. What does it mean when the person you shared everything with suddenly acts like you don't exist? Why won't he talk to me? And can anything fix what's been broken in that bed? I wish I had the answers, but right now, all I have is this silence, and it's louder than any fight we ever had. The next part of this story might change everything, or maybe it will just leave me standing alone with all the questions unanswered. Before everything fell apart, we were so close. We had plans, dreams that felt real, talks about moving in together, maybe even starting a family one day. I thought we understood each other, that nothing could shake what we had built over the months. But sometimes, one wrong choice can pull the rug right out from under you, and suddenly you're standing on shaky ground with no idea how to get back up. The night it happened, I wasn't thinking clearly. I won't make excuses because I know what I did was wrong. But it wasn't just about the act itself, it was about what came after, the guilt, the fear, and then the look in his eyes when he found out. That look wasn't anger or sadness. It was something colder, harder to read, and it cut deeper than any words ever could. He stopped answering my calls. He left the house without saying where he was going. Even when we were in the same room, it was like a wall had been built between us, thick and unbreakable. I tried to talk, to explain, but he refused to listen. Pretending I didn't exist seemed easier for him than facing the truth. What's worse is not knowing why. Was it just the betrayal, or was there something more I didn't see? Was he hiding feelings he couldn't express, or was this silence his way of protecting himself? I keep replaying every moment, every word, trying to find a clue, but it's like he erased himself from my world. Now, I'm stuck waiting, for a sign, an apology, or maybe just an explanation. But the longer this silence goes on, the more I wonder if there's even a way back. The space between us feels heavier every day, and I'm left wondering if some things, once broken, can ever be fixed. Every day feels heavier than the last, and the silence between us grows louder, almost unbearable. I keep wondering what's going on inside his head, but he won't let me in. It's like he's built a wall so high that no matter how much I try to climb, I just keep hitting a cold, empty space. I don't know if he's angry, hurt beyond words, or if he's just given up altogether. The uncertainty is what breaks me the most. Friends have tried to offer advice. Some say he's just hurt and needs time, others warn me that maybe this silence means it's over for good. But none of it helps when the person you love acts like you're a stranger, someone who doesn't deserve a single explanation. I catch myself staring at my phone, hoping for a message, a call, anything to break the distance. But the screen stays dark, and the quiet fills the room again. There's also the part of me that wonders if I'm to blame for everything that's falling apart, if maybe my actions revealed cracks that were already there. Did I really know him as well as I thought? Or was I blind to the things he never said, the feelings he kept hidden? Sometimes I catch glimpses of his old self in the past, laughing, warm, open, and it feels like a stranger now. At the same time, there's another voice inside me, whispering that this could be a turning point. Maybe it's a chance to understand ourselves better, even if it means facing painful truths. But to get there, we need to break the silence, and he's the one holding the key. Until then, I'm left here in the dark, tangled in the mess of mistakes, waiting for the moment when he'll finally tell me why he's pretending I don't exist. And that moment, when it comes, might change everything, or it might shatter what little hope is left. The days blur together, each one heavier than the last. The house feels like a hollow shell, filled with memories but no warmth. I watch him from across the room sometimes. He's there, but so far away, like a ghost trapped behind an invisible barrier. He barely looks at me, and when he does, his eyes are cold, unreadable. It's the kind of silence that screams louder than any argument ever could. I've tried everything, leaving notes, sending texts, even waiting quietly for him to come to me. But nothing breaks through. Every attempt feels like pushing against a locked door that won't budge. I'm desperate for even a hint of what he's thinking, but he won't give me anything. Not a word, not a glance, not a sign. Inside me, the guilt and regret grow heavier, mixing with a growing fear. What if this is the end? What if the man I loved is gone, replaced by someone who no longer wants me in his life? I keep replaying that night, trying to understand what went so wrong, where the line was crossed that can't be uncrossed. And then there's the unspoken question: what did he feel when he realized? Was it betrayal, hurt, shame, or something deeper? I wish I could hear it from him, but the silence is absolute, and it's suffocating. I know this can't go on forever. Something has to give. Either he breaks this wall down, or I have to decide what comes next. But before any of that happens, there's one last moment, one that's coming closer with every heartbeat, where everything will be on the line. The moment when silence will no longer be enough, and the truth will have to come out. Until then, I'm trapped in this waiting, in this pain, wondering if what we had can ever be saved, or if it's already lost forever. Just when I thought the silence was the worst thing between us, something unexpected happened, something that made everything even more confusing. I found a message on his phone, not meant for me, but it was clear enough to see how much pain he was hiding. It wasn't about me, or the betrayal, at least not directly. There was someone else, someone from his past, reaching out, and his replies were full of hesitation, regret, and something I didn't understand. This new discovery threw me into a whirlwind of questions I never saw coming. Was the silence about my mistake, or was there something deeper tearing him apart? I always thought I was the cause of his distance, but now it feels like there's more at play, secrets he's been carrying long before I ever made that terrible choice. The weight of this new truth made me realize that the story between us wasn't just about what happened in that bed. There were old wounds, fears, and maybe even a part of him that was breaking before I ever did. How could I have missed it? Was I so wrapped up in my own guilt that I never saw the cracks beneath the surface? Now, the stakes feel higher than ever. The man I thought I knew is tangled in a battle I didn't even know existed, and I'm caught in the middle. The silence, the distance, it's not just about us anymore. It's about what he's hiding and whether the truth will bring us back together or tear us apart for good. With everything falling apart, I'm left wondering if there's still a way through this, or if some secrets are too heavy to overcome. And as the days go by, the tension grows, waiting for the moment when everything will finally explode into the open. The night I finally confronted him was nothing like I imagined. I stood in the living room, heart pounding, ready to demand answers, to break the silence that had stretched between us for weeks. He didn't turn away this time. Instead, he looked at me with a weight in his eyes I'd never seen before, a mixture of pain, regret, and something fragile, like he was holding back a storm. He finally spoke, and it wasn't just about what I did. He told me about the message, about the past relationship that still haunted him. He explained how that part of his life never truly ended and how it had shaped the walls he built around himself, walls I had shattered, but walls he was still trying to protect. His silence wasn't just about betrayal, it was about fear. Fear of facing his own scars, and fear of losing me completely. We talked for hours, raw and honest, peeling back layers of hurt neither of us wanted to admit. The silence that had felt so endless began to crack, replaced by a fragile understanding. He wasn't ready to forgive completely, and I wasn't ready to forget, but we agreed on one thing: we couldn't let the silence win. We had to face the truth together, no matter how painful. Just as the tension started to ease, he pulled out something unexpected, a letter he'd written months ago but never sent. It was from the other person, a goodbye filled with pain and closure he'd never shared with me. It wasn't just about my mistake, it was about his own journey to finally let go. In that moment, I realized this wasn't just a story about cheating or silence. It was about two people, broken in different ways, trying to find their way back from the edge. And while the path ahead was still uncertain, we took the first step, together. But as we held on to that fragile hope, neither of us saw the real twist waiting just around the corner, one that would change everything all over again. In the days that followed, the air between us slowly started to change. We weren't suddenly perfect or fixed, but the silence that had once felt like a wall became a bridge, a difficult, shaky one, but a connection nonetheless. We began to share small moments again, honest conversations that didn't come easy but were necessary. It wasn't about erasing the past or pretending the hurt didn't exist, it was about understanding it, facing it, and deciding what we wanted moving forward. The letter he showed me was a turning point, not just because it explained so much, but because it showed me how much pain he had carried alone. It wasn't about excuses, but about the truth behind his silence. I realized then that forgiveness isn't something that happens overnight. It's a process, sometimes slow, but possible when two people are willing to try. We talked about trust, how fragile it is and how easily it can break, but also how it can be rebuilt with time, patience, and honesty. I knew there were no guarantees, and maybe some wounds would always leave a scar. But in that moment, we made a promise to face whatever came next together, without pretending or hiding. Looking back, I see now that the story wasn't just about betrayal or silence. It was about human flaws, mistakes, and the courage it takes to confront them head-on. Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones inside us, and the strongest bridges are built from the cracks in our hearts. We don't know exactly what the future holds. Maybe this chapter is closing, or maybe it's just the beginning of a new one. But what I do know is that silence isn't always the end. Sometimes it's the start of something real, a chance to heal, to learn, and to grow. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that even in the darkest moments, hope can find a way through.